Well, hello and welcome to Fun Fantasy FPL. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And on this week's pod, I've had a shocker. Steven's had less of a shocker, but it was still funny.
Mhm.
So we're going to go through our first big blank of the season, talk about how this sets us up for the season going forward. But more importantly, probably have a rant about our own teams as well. I certainly will. So yeah, strap yourself in, folks, because it's probably going to involve a fair amount of swearing, although we should probably try and stop, otherwise we keep getting listed as adult content on YouTube. And as much as I'm sure some people might want that, me and Stephen are not doing adult content.
Mhm.
At least not on anything that's free. So, Stephen, talk us through your free hit. You went with triple Southampton defense. I
Yeah,
think it's not, and you also went in massively on Strand Larson. How did that
yeah.
work for you?
It didn't go well. It turns out backing the worst team, not just of this season, but in Premier League history, doesn't tend to go well. Do you know what it was? Looking back on it now, as I was doing the free hit, I was just like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I mean, I had Penandes in there, I had Haaland, and I'm just like, that's not a free hit for me. That's just, I mean, so basically what I did was I was a halfway house. I didn't go regulation because let's be frank, I said Bellegarde would be a good 1 week punt. He did
Mhm.
well. I said a Nottingham Forest defender. I probably would have had Mikkel commit though because I probably would have gone heavy there. I'm not going to claim that I would have the Everton defender in, who I've never heard of, who is at the back. Alanga, I could have seen myself getting my moosh we talked about. So, and yeah, it's disappointing. I think the real mistake that I made though was with the Fulham game because my thinking around that was that Spurs are a relegation team, therefore Fulham won't care, therefore Fulham won't play well. But I forget that Fulham see Tottenham as a big six team, so they played like Fulham do against bigger teams. Not they focus on the brand, not the positioning within the league, unfortunately. So that was on me. I should have looked at Fulham defenders a bit more closely. But given Atlanta got 13 points, I'm guessing Spurs had a few chances. Son was my captain, but just wasn't to be, unfortunately. So, word of advice, guys: do not back the worst Premier League team in all of history. That's my hot tip for the week.
Hot tip indeed. Do not
Mm.
back Southampton. They are going down and probably could beat Derby's record. But it was fun and interesting. The responses that I
Mm.
got on various platforms where you post this podcast saying, "Have you lost your mind? Which mental asylum did you record it in?" Various other
Mm.
places. So yeah, it was brave, it was brash, and it was Stephen Berry, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was entertaining for us for sure when that first goal
Mm.
went in. But would
Mm.
you have done it differently? Would you take anything back?
Yeah, but what I would have done differently is I wouldn't have free hit it this week. This is the problem with not being a great planner because like I had to free hit it because I had so many blanks. In hindsight, I probably should have gone like, okay, look, it's not going to be a good blank game week. There's probably better times to use it. I mean, that blank game week, that free hit we talked about last season, it was Burnley, Sheffield United. I think the highest placed team that was ninth or something. So
Yeah.
that was how I like to play free hit. So I think I don't think I would have done anything different with my team because I wanted to go a bit rogue, but um, next time if I'm gonna free hit, make sure I'm lining it up for a proper blank game week and not this one. This wasn't a good blank game week.
Yeah, and we still have a fair amount of the season left, and there's going to
Mm,
be supposedly some blank game weeks in the
mm,
basically in the I think 34. If you follow Ben Crellin on Twitter, he's the man with the spreadsheets, with miles more advice or information than I or you could ever provide.
yes.
So I would recommend giving him a follow and having a look through his feed because he does have some recommendations, particularly about the game week 34 blank and the game week 33 double. So I think I'm pot committed to my strategy. I'm gonna have to keep going on that. But I am really, really annoyed about my team. Scoring 28 points, Ipswich conceding four against Forest and not and Chris Wood getting absolutely diddly squat. I captained him. I had 10 men to start with. Then Palmer out of the blue just not playing. So then I was down to nine. My highest scoring player was Anthony Robinson of Fulham.
Hmm.
followed by Gabriel and Kirkez. So actually, my defenders really bailed me out here. Sanchez got 3 points, but then there's just ones, and Savino got me zero. So it's just a bit of a disaster, to be honest. And it's the worst game week performance I've ever had, I think, in fantasy football. I would
Nice.
say it's I was almost at one point in a position where I could have had no returns. The no return challenge was
Hmm.
on. So yeah, very disappointed, a bit deflated to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what to say to be honest about that performance. Nearly
Should
everyone
we,
I
should,
know outscored me.
yeah. Should we continue this crushing disappointment on and talk about Fulham Spurs?
Oh,
What, I mean,
don't.
what happened
I mean,
there?
it was just so written on the wall. I mean, I loved it. I was watching Match of the Day today, and we were recording this on Monday. And I was watching Match of the Day 2, and I was watching all the games. First game, Match of the Day 2 was Arsenal Fulham, Arsenal Chelsea, big game, top four clash. Then they did what was the second game? They did
Man, you
Man
Leicester.
United Leicester because Man United scored a load of goals. Man United big club, and they put Spurs Fulham last. Now, out of those three games, the most boring game was Arsenal Chelsea. The most
Yeah.
obvious result game probably was Man United Leicester. Spurs Fulham doesn't really have an impact in the league. It's not. I mean, I know you made your early jibe about us being a
Mm,
relegation team, and I did appreciate it.
mm,
No, well, not rise to it, but um, Spurs are just a kind of irrelevancy in the Premier League at the moment.
mm.
I mean, that loss was coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, and also Sessegnon's goal, outrageous. Span Ben
Mm.
Davis, put it top bins. He's never done that for Tottenham ever when he was there. So where this Sessegnon has been, I don't know. Um, yeah, the players just looked really off it, and I think that the rotation was weird as well. We've got 18 days between now and our next game. Why has he
Mm,
rotated the team? He doesn't need to rotate the team. Like,
mm,
some people are going to international breaks. Some people he could claim are injured and won't, and will just get some respite. Right? Just play your strongest team. We don't have the games to do that. And look, I'm making no bones about it. The only thing we can do right now is try and win the European cup there. I mean, that's the only thing we can do. That's the only thing we've got left. So I understand why he wants to put everything behind that, but just rotating the team in that way was really weird, really strange. I didn't understand it. And afterwards, there was a bit of, back and forth between him and the fans, unsurprisingly. I mean, he's almost got a full strength team back now. Like, everyone's nearly fit.
yeah, he does.
Archie Gray played in the centre mid position, which is properly his position, and not not in the centre back position where he's been playing before. Ben Davis played. I mean, just retire, man. Honestly, like I love him
Mm,
to pieces, but he's not up to speed anymore in the Premier League. He's kind of reminds me of Joe Allen and his last season at Liverpool.
yeah.
He's just hanging on for dear life. That's what he's doing,
Mm,
and that's great, and that's honourable, and great player Joe Allen is, and great player that Ben Davis has been. Like, it's not, it's not what we need right now. But how can you really convince a man like Ange to do anything because he's got such a fortress mentality. He wants to kick everyone out that disagrees with him, and that's not what fortress mentality is about. It's about bringing people together, bringing the team together, bringing the fans on board, and he's just not doing that. So honestly, if you got Spurs assets, sell them. Apart from maybe Spence, I'd probably keep Spence if I had him. Um, yeah, we just look absolutely shoddy, and that result was no surprise. I don't think anyone was surprised. No one was surprised
yeah.
about that result. Was there?
I was obviously I was obviously a little bit surprised. As I said, I thought Fulham would treat you like they treat all the other teams beneath them with serenity, but they didn't do that. They annoyingly considered you a big 16 still. So that's again that's on me.
Fulham are a good
Okay, I was
team.
yeah.
They are a good
Yeah,
team.
no, they are good enough. Yeah, no, I've been too harsh on them this season. Yeah, they are good. They're eighth. They've done a pretty good job in like sort of Marcus Hill, fair play to him. He's done a pretty good job in players like Iwobi and Traore, who you thought would nothing would ever like come from them. They've done a pretty good job in that. They got someone like Robertson, who's very good. Leonard's another one actually. Leonard's been better at Fulham than he has at Arsenal. And he wasn't bad at Arsenal. I liked him at Arsenal, but definitely got more out of him. So.
You,
They're
you know, you
definitely
know
ma
this. This harsh treatment of Fulham by you is leading up to them beating Arsenal away. You know that, right?
Wow.
That's
I mean,
next
because
game.
they'll play well. They've been us at Craven Cottage loads. I think we've lost our last three games there or something. Definitely last two.
But it's at your
Um,
place.
Yeah, but still, I mean, okay, well, actually, that leads me on into Arsenal. So you're saying avoid Spurs. Arsenal, what was that? You're right, that game was boring.
It's
Like,
that
I
meme.
mean,
What's that?
but
Brother.
yeah, I mean, we're meant to be going for the league. Now, I understand it's probably in the players' head of like, no, we're not. Like, it's over. But Liverpool have obviously gone out of two cups, and we can get to them in a second. But there is some chinks in Liverpool's armour. I know we don't have a centre forward, but we never had a centre forward. Havertz isn't a centre forward anyway. Gabriel Jesus has been going backwards for a while. We haven't had a centre forward for a while. I don't think that excuses that sort of performance, really. Chelsea weren't really trying either. It was very bizarre. It was a game where every party seemed to be both sides seemed happy to play badly or not very well. Chelsea were like, we'll take a 1-0 defeat. Arsenal will obviously take the 3 points. But yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I think I think we need to remember we have Saka's gonna come back soon. He's obviously a talisman and can generate
Is
the
he
team,
how
but
long away is he? How far is
I
he
think
out?
he might be back for the next game week. There's a chance.
No.
So
It's
yeah,
lucky,
apparently.
especially with Palmer out, because people will have cash flying about.
Yeah, I
But
mean, look, who knows? He's had surgery, so how at the races he's going to be. I don't know. Odegaard doesn't actually look the player he was since his big injury either. Um,
mm,
so okay, Liverpool have got the Merseyside derby left. If they lose that game, very possible. And Arsenal win. I would like to think that's going to start saying to players, there is a chance here. There is a chance. Again, we like you are probably focusing on the Champions League, which I understand, but right now, from an FPL perspective, I would say they're a hold. I wouldn't be scrambling to get them at all. If you have an Arsenal defender like Gabriel's not going to do any harm. I still have Timber. I wouldn't recommend selling them unless there's I don't really see any defenders really screaming out at me. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be rushing to buy them. I mean, Marino scored, and I'm sure he's like 1 million in the game or something. I still don't think he's going to get too many more goals. So I don't really see much. Nawari's cheap, but again, he looks okay, but he's still quite young.
rotation risk.
Yeah, rotation risk. So the only one I thought who looked a bit sharp again was Martinelli. He's one to keep
Hmm.
an eye on. But Arsenal, yeah, if you have them, hold. But I wouldn't be flooding to buy them basically.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The Saka news is really interesting.
If he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes back, I've got the cash to get to him.
Hmm?
So it's like Palmer to him is pretty straight swap. I mean, what are Arsenal's fixtures saying the next couple? Are they all they're devastatingly
Fulham,
horrible?
Everton, Brentford, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth. So not bad.
Yeah, and yes. I mean, if I'm wildcarding in 32 and he's back by then, he's going straight.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
I could have Haaland, Saka, and Salah. Maybe that's a bit overkill, but probably unlikely.
Yeah, I think they might actually have the best net six. Spurs have some easy games and some hard games. They're a bit of a mixed. Wolves actually have a very good run. There was one other team that I thought had a very good run. Um, yeah, it's Wolves, but again, like Brighton, to be fair, Brighton have a decent run. That's about it really. No one's really got an easy six. Actually, probably outside of Arsenal. They're not all easy, but they probably have the best run over the next six
Yeah,
game weeks.
cool, cool.
I still don't. That's why I say hope. I just don't see too much of a point. They're all expensive as well. They're good players. Martinelli, if
Yeah,
you really wanted a punt, but no, I wouldn't recommend it.
yeah. Okay, cool. Um, the next game I wanted to talk, or lack of game I wanted to talk about, was the
Mm.
was no Liverpool playing. So as I previously said, my team had a shocker and was just awful. Now, previous game weeks that might have happened, but then Salah's got to goes and gets a goal and an assist against whoever he's playing, and the game week actually doesn't look too bad. And
Mm.
you kind of take a grey arrow or something like that. But with no Salah playing, and obviously no Trent playing, and also now him being injured, which is worth discussing. Um, yeah, it just showed how over reliant I am on Salah, and I think a lot of teams will be in a similar position. Not maybe not to the same extent, and Trent getting injured as well. That's a real kick in the teeth. Put a transfer in that I didn't really want to make. But with that extra cash flying around, it does mean that actually I have um, a bit more ability to get to different players. So I'm actually thinking about doing a defender swap this week, going Mikolenko to who was that I was thinking about earlier? I can't remember now. Oh, maybe it was Munoz. Munoz, that's what I was thinking of. Because he's got Southampton away this week, and then he's got Brighton at home, and then he's got a double in 32. But I'm wildcarding into 32, so it's just less
There's
relevant
doubles
for me.
Man City and Newcastle though.
Yeah, he'll get behind Man City. Man City will concede in that game, and Newcastle. I mean, they're just probably still pissed from the pub, right? Surely after the weekend. Many congratulations to them, we should say. Excellent performance, really dominated Liverpool. Liverpool just didn't look at it at all. I mean, this I posed this
Mm.
question off air before we started, Stephen. But do you think this means that Liverpool become more complacent because the league is pretty much wrapped up anyway and they can kind of do anything and they've got nothing else to play for? Or does it mean they become more hungry to make sure the league is done?
My
Which
my
way? Which
heart
way?
my heart is saying there's obviously some bias here.
Of
They,
course.
they look they look. I'm going to lean towards running out of steam. Slot hasn't rotated a lot this season. They've obviously got all the way in the final in the League Cup. Are they still in the FA Cup? I'm not sure. I think they are. Um, oh no, they got knocked out by Plymouth, didn't they?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So yeah, but
So
either way,
they've got
they're in
nothing
deep
else
in
to
the
play for. They've got nothing else to
yeah,
play for.
but again, Slot just hasn't rotated a lot basically, and he's had some injuries. So like, I mean, was it Kwanzaa at right back? Yeah,
He rotated massively for the final, which I thought was really weird. He played Diego Jota
did
up
he?
front and Diaz. Yeah, he dropped Gakpo. Um, and well, Darwin's been in and out, but Gakpo's been pretty consistently there.
Well, I didn't see that
Um,
as a rotated team. I think that was him just saying Jota's my preferred number nine. Gakpo has done well, but Jota's been the preferred number nine. He was the preferred number nine until he got
yeah,
injured. He had a bad game. I didn't. I mean, Diaz. I mean, I don't think he rotated a lot.
I would have started
Szoboszlai
Gakpo
players.
over him. I would have started
Yeah,
Gakpo.
it's maybe, but I mean, Jota was poor, but the whole team was poor. To be fair,
Yeah, yeah, the whole team
um,
was, yeah.
so again, my heart tells me that they're running out of steam. But as I said, it's the Merseyside derby next. Let's see how that goes. I think honestly, if Arsenal beat Fulham and Liverpool lose that game, you can just see the panic sign. I wouldn't panic now, but you could just see it. You could see this like, is this going to be the biggest bottle ever? And I'm sure that gets into the players' heads. It
Mhm.
definitely does. I mean, it happened to Arsenal before. It's happened to Spurs before. So I think if
I
they
love the Arsenal hope. I love the Arsenal hope
yeah,
here.
but again, I'll concede that there's a phenomenal amount of bias that if they spank Everton 3-0, then it's obviously all over. But they've given some hope in their last, and they were
Mm.
awful against PSG. Awful. I know PSG played well, but like they were really bad against PSG, who,
Yeah.
let's be frank, are not that good of a team. Let's be very honest. We know what league they play in. You can fill in what the gaps from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing is they got Everton at home, Fulham away, West Ham at home, and Leicester
It's a great
away.
run. It's a great run.
It's a great run. If they win all those games, they come out of those games with 12 points. I think it's done
They've won the
because they've
league.
got Tottenham at home, Arsenal
No, it will be
away.
done.
Yeah, it'll be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even if they lost the rest of their games, they'd be fine. And then one of
Yeah.
those games is against Arsenal at home.
Mm.
That's gonna be a huge game. Saturday, May
Yeah.
the 10th. Oh, I might be away, but that's gonna be huge, huge game. Um, cool. I mean, I'm not sure. I think Slot is going to really go in on them. I think he's going to be like, "What are you doing? What are you playing at? You need to be better
Mm.
than this. This is Liverpool. This is that. This." And I think they go out and they absolutely humble Everton. Everton have been really good, but I think they go out and humble Everton this week. They have to. It's worth saying they've obviously got the international break now, so a bit of a break from fantasy football, which I certainly need after the game week I had. So we won't record, I think, beginning of the week. I think we'll record maybe later and sort of have it ready for the
You, you,
weekend.
you don't do an hour podcast about why Jordan Henderson was back, is being called back into the England team.
I don't want to do that, Stephen. No, and I don't. I mean, yeah, I think the narrative around the England's team is really weird at the moment. I don't want
Mm.
to get into it because I'll go on a bit of a rant about British media and
Mm.
all the rest of it. But yeah, just generally very strange.
Mm.
Cool. So yeah, look, I think like I was saying, I think the lack of Salah in my team's really hurt me because he wasn't playing, obviously, but it does mean that my team is absolute dog shit, and I need to do something about it. Damn, we are now adult content. Bollocks in
Uh,
hell. Short of my next game week, I honestly don't know what to do. I think probably taking out a Mikolenko for Muniz seems like the right shout, but I mean, it's such a boring move. And I've even started, drafting a wild card because I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed, Stephen, and I'm not sure what to do about it. And obviously, it depends on whether Palmer's fit or not. If Palmer doesn't play, Palmer isn't fit, then I
it
might.
sounds like he'll be back. It sounds like he'll be back for the next
Yeah,
game
and he's
week.
got Tottenham at home, and Tottenham are rubbish, so I think he'll get a goal. Well, I mean, Dots Tottenham will turn up for him to help him recover. Um, cool. So I think probably best thing to do now is to go on to our bankers, mid-rogue and rogue shouts. Stephen, do you have some prepared? Because I'm ready to go if you're not.
I do actually,
Oh wow.
and they're sort of Barry-esque. They're
Oh,
very
okay.
Barry-esque. So my banker is actually Mamouche. I am sold. I have been converted to
Interesting.
Egyptian King 2.0. Um, he seems to have the number 10 role locked down. From the sort of highlights I've seen, Haaland is doing a brilliant job at dragging players away. So whoever the cutback is or everything like that, he's the one who's cleaning up,
Yeah.
basically. City's run is also very good. They have Leicester. I did quite like Paddy Power doing the meme for Leicester. They're like Leicester fans. Oh, it can't get any worse after Steve Cooper, and it's the Mick McCarthy one. Oh, but it can.
Oh, but it can. Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna get worse. They have Leicester, Man U, Crystal Palace, Everton, Villa. Well, Salah. I mean. Actually, wow, they really have a great run. They have any bad fixtures at all. Bournemouth at home, not brilliant, but yeah, they don't. Yeah, I mean,
They got a great running. Yeah.
their running's brilliant. So, Marmoush, I think as I said, I think he's one of the, I would say he's got the number 10 role locked down. I know Pep loves nothing more than having a player being at the peak of their powers and then dropping them, but nevertheless, I think even he has some limits. So I'd say Marmoush is my banker.
Cool, cool. So my banker is someone a bit slightly different. Someone I did own. Then he did nothing for me, and then I sold him, and now he's had an absolute storm of the last two.
Mm,
And that is Saar. So of Crystal Palace, got Southampton away, Brighton at home, and then he's got the double. Not a great double, but he's the guy who's going to get in behind. Mateta we don't know when he's going to be back, but if he is back, then he's going to do what Haaland's doing, as you described. So then he's going to benefit from that going in behind. He's what is he 6% owned? He's really low owned, and he's quite cheap. And I think he's a pretty good replacement for anyone in that 6 point something category. Um, yeah, so that would be my banker for this week.
That's a bit of a road banker though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean Southampton, as
No,
anything we've learned from your experiment,
I'm
Stephen.
I'm on it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we're both in agreement. You must have at least one player playing Southampton every game week, right? I think it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, of
it's
course,
just a
of
must.
course. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great rule.
Yeah.
If he's playing Southampton, he potentially even captainable, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, but yeah, and I like the run that he's on. Yeah, it just looks good. Just looks good.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to do your middle? Then I'll do my middle.
Yeah, my middling rogue is a man that hopefully will be sober soon. That's Kieran Trippier. Yes.
Damn.
Woo! Let's talk about the whip, hey?
Okay.
What a man he is. So obviously got assist in the final, but he's also racked up I think a clean sheet against West Ham before. Um, Obviously Lewis Hall's out for the season, which is really disappointing to him. But then, that does make it easier to pick someone like Trippier because he's probably got that spot nailed down for the rest of the season. Because he's, defensively, around, and he's also on corners producing some nice balls. 3.4% owned. 5.6 million, Brentford at home, Leicester away, and then you've got the double of Man City and Palace at home, which I think is a pretty good double. Um,
Mm.
and then, unfortunately doesn't have a double in 33, but he plays in the blank in 34, and he plays Ipswich at home. So I
Mm.
really think it's one of these things where if you don't have the free hit, you don't have your wild card, start planning for that for that blank in 34. It looks like it won't be as big as we previously feared, which is annoying given how I set up my team.
Mm.
But there's some interesting games in there. I think that could be interesting there. I mean, Leicester, what Wolves play Leicester, Newcastle play Ipswich, and who should have Southampton? Potentially Fulham have Southampton away. So, targeting those teams would be pretty good.
You know,
What is your make rogue?
what, why? But just before I go into that, why Trippier over Livramento?
Trips is on corners.
Okay.
Simple as that. And I think Livramento is more likely to be rotated out of the two.
Really? What? So
Yeah.
you think? Interest. Well, okay.
Yeah. I think I
Trippier.
think I think if you look at the let me put up his team.
Well, while you're doing that, as mentioned, I obviously somewhat hail from the northeast. I have lots of Newcastle fans. However, I lean Sunderland, so I am not happy about the result. I
Mhm.
was cheering on the bottle the entire way through, but to be honest with you, even I, as I'm not an out-and-out Sunderland fan, did think it was quite nice. The scenes at the end, Newcastle ending their 70, God knows what it was, year wait. I think you do have to have a real heart of stone or be a very die-hard Sunderland fan, of which I am neither. So, nevertheless, I did sort of want a bottle there. But anyway, the reason I mentioned this is that Trippier has not been good for Newcastle for a long, long, long time. He was good in that game, but I'm pretty much thinking that's his last hurrah.
Yeah,
He's won a
probably.
trophy. He's won a trophy at every single English Premier League club he's been at, apart from one, which is where he's at an English Premier League club that hasn't won a trophy. Can't remember now. Anyway, somewhere. Um. Anyway, so
Honestly,
I
just
I get the I get the impression that was the last good Trippier performance. The man will be learning Arabic, and I so that's why I just yeah, he's been really off the boil for a while.
the man will be learning Arabic. Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
yeah, do like Newcastle because I just had a look. They need Champions League because they've obviously got the UEFA Cup now, but they don't need Champions League, but there's something it's very attainable for them. Fourth is actually, and then I think fifth is now even Champions League. I think maybe. I think
Yeah,
they're pushing it.
potentially.
Yeah,
But I mean, because Liverpool got knocked out, it just depends what Aston Villa do. If Aston Villa get through against
right,
PSG, then I think it's pretty much nailed. But I think at the moment it's still a bit of a
fine.
coin toss. It
Uh,
depends what Man.
ne
I think it does it depend on what Man United and Spurs do in the Europa League.
Yeah. Nevertheless, fourth is very, very attainable for Newcastle. So, yep, enjoy. International break probably comes at the perfect time for them, actually. They can have their piss up. But yeah, I don't think Newcastle are going to throw in the towel in the league. And we saw against Liverpool how good they can be. They battered Liverpool, let's be frank. 2-1 really flattered Liverpool. So
Mm.
I like Newcastle players. I'm not planning on selling Isaac anytime soon. I just I think Trippier, good servant, he's done it, a bit like Ben Davis. He's gonna have one last good game, and then unfortunately, I think that was it for Trippier. But hey, again, I think Dan Burn or Livramento, I think, are safer bets. Shaw will play every week if you really want somebody guaranteed at the back for Newcastle.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, Brilliant. And yeah, your rogue shout, Stephen.
Well, my middle one, first of all,
Oh yeah, of
is
course you're in one.
I don't even know if it's middle actually. It's Jared Bowen. So West Ham have a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing now as the false nine. I think got a goal or assist at the weekend. I think he's been quietly accumulating points. He's not cheap. That is the problem. But if you know, given I still don't think Haaland's a must right now, I still think there's money out there for you to get him. Kudus if you want somebody a little bit cheaper, but he hasn't really done much in a while. So I would say Jared Bowen. And then for my rogue and Barry. It's a bit of a Barry rogue this because he's one of the best players that the Premier League has ever seen, but nevertheless it is rogue, and that is Son. So okay, so they have
Oh,
Chelsea. They have Chelsea away now. So Chelsea fans are very annoyed right now, and you can argue
yeah.
whether they should be or they shouldn't be, but nevertheless they are, and they cannot fathom a bad performance against Spurs at home. That honestly, I genuinely think Maresca's in trouble if you lose that game. I genuinely think he's actually in big, big trouble. The fans are already on his back a little bit. If they lose to Spurs
Mm.
at home, which they haven't done, Spurs haven't won there since 1990. or
No,
something.
no, no. We won. We won. I think it was a few years ago. Dele Alli scored 2 goals. But it was the first time in 25 years before that. But it's been a while. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, fine. So like that just cannot happen. So Chelsea have to go at that game. They cannot put in the performance that they did against Arsenal.
Mm.
And that does mean Son has a chance. Then he has Southampton, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, and then Liverpool. So it goes a bit downhill after that. But I think those three fixtures have potential targets for an attacking Spurs player. Um, and Son, great player. I think he's due a haul somewhere or another. And I'm feeling it one of those 3 game weeks, maybe all of them. Who knows?
Jesus. Well, I mean, I'm a bit lost for words for that. I'll be honest. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's for me like Spurs. I just want the season to be over. To be honest. Like it's just one painful display after another. I mean, it's just we're just woeful, mate. We're woeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go there, I will not dissuade you from it, but because maybe it could be good, but I'm very doubtful of anything that Spurs can produce at this moment in time. We're pretty shy.
Fair enough.
Um, cool. So my road shout also comes from that game, but is not on the Spurs team, and I have mentioned his name earlier.
Okay.
Ryan Sessegnon.
Okay.
4.1 million. He only played for 3 minutes in this game. I was caveat this. So
My first question is, does he start?
no, but
Right.
he's coming back from injury. He's playing up front when he has come back and played, and it was a beautiful goal. You know, if he puts in a couple more performances like that, no doubt he'll be playing more often. But yeah, 4.1 million for a striker in a team that like to play pretty aggressive football, we'd be biting your hand off, wouldn't we? So yeah,
And Fulham have their perfect run. Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Chelsea. They'll absolutely love
it
those
is
four
the run
fixtures.
is the
That's
run is awful. I literally wrote
no,
down
no, for
here
Fulham, it's
horrible run.
amazing.
Hold on. I wrote this down. Horrible run, good performances. Because that's what they'll do. And we
Yeah.
know they'll do that. And I can't believe I am agreeing or believing some of the things that you've said to me before about this team. But I am, and this is where we are. This is the new world order.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so I've actually just, whilst we've been talking, done just quickly before we go, a little wildcard draft based off the Ben Crellin's
Mm.
spreadsheet. So this is my front three. Marmoush, Isaac, Watkins,
Nice.
and then my midfield is Rogers, Bowen, Salah, Saka, and I put Garnacho question mark.
Sure.
Uh, Robinson slash Cess because I've got to back my own shouts here. Digne, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Gabriel, and then I was thinking a Man United defender or Onana, and then a Brighton defender. And if the other way around will be a Verbruggen and then another 4.5 a goalkeeper, and that'll be for a bench boost in 33, where it looks like Man City, Aston Villa are very likely to double, and then Palace, Fulham, Brighton, West Ham, Southampton, Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Man United could also double. And then there are chances to double in 36 as well. But I mean, if those doubles do happen in 36, I'm going to be in the middle of the ass man. So it could be quite interesting which one I go for there. Maybe it could be time to roll up Postecoglou at that time. I really don't
Yes.
like it.
He
I
got
really
he
don't
got he
like
got
it.
22 points to me. It's pretty good. Like
Yeah,
he did it was good.
yeah, it's not too bad, not too bad. Or even, I don't know, like Aston Villa have got an okay one, and so lots to think about. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. There are my attention is turning towards wildcarding mainly because I don't like my team right now because they absolutely screwed the pooch for me. Um, but maybe I need to take some time out because this is a game, Stephen, and as we
It
know, it
is.
should be played with joy and entertainment. And if you're not having that joy and entertainment, go have a rest, chill out. It's
Mm.
fine. It's just a game. But yes, so we've said our road shouts. We've covered a few things. Stephen, you did give us your predictions for your scores last week.
Yeah.
One of them was bang on. The others were some of them
Okay.
were right in terms of
The
the
result.
margin of victory, but not the result. So I'm going to read out the fixtures for you, so you don't have to look at it. I want you
Right.
to give me your instinctive score, and I'm going to write it down. And Stephen's
Oh,
score
okay.
predictor. There we go.
Oh,
Another jingle for us. So, Arsenal at home to Fulham.
1-0 to the Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal. Wolves at home to West Ham.
2-1 West Ham.
2-1 West Ham. Nottingham Forest at home to Man United.
3-0 Forest.
Wow, we could have some opinions there. Okay. Bournemouth at home to Ipswich.
3-1 Bournemouth.
Okay. Brighton at home to Aston
Oh,
Villa.
the two most inconsistent teams in the league. Um, uh, 2-2.
2-2. Going for a Desmond. Perfect.
Yeah.
Manchester City at home to Leicester.
Uh, 4-5-6-0. Doesn't really like whatever.
I'm going to go for 6-0 because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Newcastle at home to Brentford. Will
I'm
they
actually
still
gonna
be
say,
pissed?
yeah, they're gonna be pissed by then. I'm gonna say 2-0 Brentford.
2-0 Brentford at St James's Park. Big result that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Southampton at home to Crystal Palace.
3-1 Palace.
3-1 when you wrote it the other way around. You're not going to ballot back the worst team in the Premier League?
Nope.
Not
Nope.
again?
Learn my lesson there.
Okay, cool. Then the Merseyside derby. Liverpool against Everton.
I'm gonna believe 3-2 Everton.
Oh,
With a
unbelievable
huge,
scenes.
huge amount of bias there, obviously. But come on, Everton.
And then my lot playing away at Chelsea. So Chelsea at home to Spurs. That
It's
could be
always
any
entertaining to
result.
see. Like, yeah, let's go 4-3 Chelsea. Why not?
Well, I mean, it's possible. 4-3 Chelsea. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So Stephen, what you want you to do now is actually send me a picture of your face so I can actually do this graphic that the fans are crying out for. The fans are crying out for it, mate. Um, so that concludes our Stephen score predictor. There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. All the budget goes
Mm,
into that.
mm.
Cool. Well, that leads to say thank you very much for listening to us and watching. If you are on our various channels, please do give us a like and subscribe on wherever you're listening to this. It really does help in what we're trying to do. And yeah, as always, thanks to our lovely, amazing producer, Rita, who tries to keep this rabble together. But sadly has fallen out of the top million in her fantasy team. So,
Oh wow.
Rita, you need to step it up. What are you doing? But she's backed Haaland all the way, and it's kind of come back
Mm.
to her favour, sort of. But we'll see what happens. All it leaves me to say is have a break from FPL this week or so. Take some time out from it. If you've had a good or bad week, relax. Remember, it's just a game. Have some fun. So, see you later,
When the
guys.
when the fun stops, stops. Thank you.
Oh, Stephen comes in with the best advice there is. Thanks, guys.